Less than a week before the release of Iratus, Lord of the Dead, and we've got a fantastic build for you guys today. Honestly, I think this is the strongest build coming out of early access. We'll see what happens with the final release. There may be some changes, but right now, this is pretty much where you want to be. So we've got our 4-group core. We're on the second floor, just right before an elite fight. We start out with the Black Widow. Black Widow, one of the stronger tanks of the game, great sustain with her, her invigorating cocoon here. So she recovers 6% of her vigor every single time any character acts, yours or the opponent's. And we've augmented that by bumping up her health as much as we can, and then adding in an item here to give her some more vigor. So she regenerates an ungodly amount of hit points every turn. So she's out front, taking the damage for us. We don't really use too many of our other abilities, so we're just taking these additional bonuses here that help us out. But this one actually we do use once in a while because it's nice for her to have one attack just to sort of throw out there. We got 2 Unfrozen behind her. Unfrozen, I think, are the strongest unit going right now. They're really kind of well-rounded. They've got some really nice AoE magic attacks, a debuff that helps your whole team. It's got a Ice Spear or Ice Lance that interrupts stances, does pretty decent single target damage from the 3rd position, but not the 2nd. And then some utility spells like a heal that we don't use very often, and then Destroy Target Trap, which obviously doesn't get used too often either. Also got a nice ultimate that is sort of the Q, the Ice Wave on steroids. Hits 2 targets. So we've got 2 of these. One of the things that makes them really good is the Q ability, the Ice River, which is sort of the main ability that we use on them. Hits a debuff for -2 initiative. So that combined with the feature of the Unfrozen, deals an additional 5% damage for each point of difference between initiatives. So it's a bonus that grows throughout the fight. Having 2 of them just makes it easier to apply it. And then we've also got this Rune of Winter trinket, which is the Unfrozen only trinket, which gives up to 6 initiative. So by the end of the fight, you're doing 50-60% more damage than you're supposed to. So for this guy, we pump attack and initiative. We're thinking about maybe getting some Warden block later, but it starts with 2 of each, which is just a really nice bonus. So nice little caster unit using positions 2 and 3. And we didn't mention this, but the cocoon ability of the Black Widow protects the unit in the 2nd position. So despite using 3 casters and 1 frontliner, we don't get our backliners hit too often. So nice little ability there. So the Lich is sort of the main man in this composition. It's the one that it's built around. And the Lich is a unit that a lot of people use for the cloud ability, which is a stress-based thing. They put clouds on the enemy team, and they push the enemy units in and out of the cloud. It's effective. It works better on lower difficulties. It was fun. It was better in previous iterations because of some nerfs that they give to various units. But what has sort of been ignored is that the Lich is also the best damage dealer in the game. It has 2 ultimates. 2 useless abilities, I think. There's this one here which kills an ally, and then this one here which resurrects. I haven't really been able to get this going. I imagine it's been useful a couple times when the Black Widow gets gived, which does happen from time to time. But nobody ever really uses this. We're not using this, and this just seems strange, right? It's 125 to a random enemy. Well, when you upgrade it, it's 125 to 2 enemies. And then it's got this drawback of hitting the ally in the 1st position. So I think the issue with the Lich is a lot of players look at him. He has a lot of abilities that don't synergize well together. Like he's got a couple stress-based abilities. He's got these kill an ally abilities, which aren't that attractive. He has these attacks which do damage to his own team. So people just look at him and go, I don't want to use this guy. I want to use, a simpler character that is a little more straightforward. So you're doing 250 times your base damage. And that's just the basic attack. That's just your Q. Now, if you're healing every turn with your Black Widow, hitting your 1st position unit isn't that big of a deal. And, you can throw a little bit of resistance in there. Armor resistance aren't great. They don't scale that well. But, a little bit in there to help it out, and you're really getting a lot of that damage. But the big draw here for the Lich is Rain of Fire. Rain of Fire is an AoE ability that does 100% damage to all units on the board, including your own. But the Lich has a trinket that allows him to do 65% less damage to your units. So if you take the 100% damage to all units, plus, oh, by the way, a ticking dot that does 100% for 2 more turns for, 1,200 times base damage, it's really worth it, especially if the wards on your units means that you're not taking any damage yourself. So we've got wards on our Unfrozen. We've got an artifact, which gives a ward to our Black Widow, which can't natively get one. So when we cast our Rain of Fire, it's going to damage the enemies, but it's not going to damage us. And of course, 100% to all allies, that's 400% damage of your base damage done. And then you've got some upgrades here, which do even more. I mean, this one does 100% plus 150 for 2 turns. So you're going to get the 100% base damage times 4 is 400%. And then you're going to get an additional 150 times 4, which is 600 for 2 turns. So that's 1,200% of your base damage, plus the original is 1,800% of your base damage. It's ridiculous, right? I mean, there's no other ability in the game that can even compare to this. So let's take a look. We've got this elite fight squared up. We're playing on Good Always Wins, so it's a little bit more difficult. I think we want to throw in we've got the spider web. These are generally useless, but losing initiative, obviously we want our Unfrozen to work off initiative, and we want our Lich to cast first. So we're going to head in there, we're going to give these guys a little try, and we're going to see how it goes. Alright, so the first thing we notice is the opposing team has some wards in here that we're not going to be able to clear them all of. We do have an ability on our artifact which clears wards, but I think these guys start with 3 each. So what we're going to do is we're going to use our AoE Ice River, lower the initiative of the first 3, and to knock the 2 wards off this girl in the back. So we'll do that twice. There, we successfully knocked off her wards. We're going to put our spider in the cocoon. And then we're going to come to our Rain of Fire here. And we're just going to hit their whole team. Short this guy because he had a ward. And it just about darn near killed this guy with the first tick of the ignition. And that's the unupgraded version, right? That's not the 150% ticking damage of the upgrade. That's just the base version. And we've almost completely taken over this elite fight. So let's give it a couple more turns here. Let's see how we do. This guy's popping wards out of his butt here. So this is the second turn. The Unfrozen have acted before everyone else. And we've already killed half of the elites. So from here on in, it should be good. With only 2 left, we'll go with the Shrapnel. So this is the 125 to 2 targets, 250% of your base damage dealt. So we took these 2 out, and you can see the Black Widow got hit, but she healed right back up. Now, when you're down to one unit left, you got some options that you can use here. You got Winter's Grasp, which everyone hits it does 40% more damage. That's pretty good. We're going to do that. One of the problems with using the Unfrozen in this position is you can't use your Ice Lance. We'll just pop him back 1 spot so we can. This is a good one because you can see this guy's got 4 blocks, but this is the only physical attack we use in our whole team, and we make sure that it ignores block. You don't want to mix block or physical attacks and magic attacks for the most part, because you're just going to get frustrated by blocks. So this is going to go through the block and kill him. So there you have it. I mean, that's a second floor elite fight on Good Always Wins.